As I lingered at the kitchen table, my thoughts drifting like the steam rising from my tea. He stepped into the room, uncertainty etched across his face. His face bore a rosy hue, while his hands were tucked away in the depths of his pockets. I hardly raised my gaze, presuming he sought something of little importance. Yet, when he finally found his voice, it carried a weight of unexpected vulnerability. "May I pose a question to you, perhaps something intimate?" I furrowed my brow, placing my cup down with a hint of frustration indeed. "What is it, you ask?" He paused, fidgeting on his feet, before finally letting the words spill forth. "Assistance is required. In the beginning of my journey." The words lingered in the atmosphere, electric and charged, pulsating with an undeniable intensity. I blinked, convinced I must have misunderstood. "I apologize." "Your inaugural experience?" He took a deep breath and nodded, his throat tightening with the weight of unspoken words. "Indeed. I'm feeling a bit lost in my journey. I wish to handle it with care, and I thought, perhaps you might share some wisdom with me." A nervous chuckle slipped from my lips, even as my heart raced with anticipation. "Ah, indeed. It's perfectly natural to feel a bit anxious. But that's a journey you'll embark on when the moment is right. And the answers will reveal themselves in due time." He released a weary breath, filled with exasperation. But therein lies the essence. What if I falter in my attempt? What if I find myself in an awkward moment? There's no one to share this with. I shifted in my seat, a wave of discomfort washing over me. This was a conversation I never anticipated having with him. He was my stepson, for heaven's sake. Yet, there was an earnestness, a genuine worry etched upon his face, compelling me to take him seriously rather than dismiss him. "You're getting lost in your thoughts," I said softly. "When you find yourself in the company of the right soul, it unfolds effortlessly. But how can I discern the desires of the right person? How can I ensure that I preserve its essence?" His voice carried a weight of uncertainty, the urgency in his tone rendering it impossible to ignore. I inhaled deeply, striving to maintain a relaxed tone. "Women value those who lend an ear, who invest their time thoughtfully. It's not merely about the craft. It's all about weaving bonds." He nodded, yet his expression remained unfulfilled. "I understand that. But I wonder, shouldn't I have a glimpse of what steps to take next?" I paused, caught in a moment of uncertainty. This was perilous ground. I ought to have put an end to it, urged him to find his own way through the maze. Yet, I found myself reflecting on his words, on the depth of his sincerity. "You seek guidance," I noted, as I strive to establish firm boundaries within my own thoughts. "Indeed, it was merely advice," he asserted, his eyes fixed intently on me. I breathed out gently, selecting my words with great care. "To truly put a woman at ease, you begin by creating an atmosphere of safety around her. Observe her responses closely. Confidence holds great significance, yet patience carries its own weight of importance." He nodded with enthusiasm, drinking in every word. "And what about, in terms of the physical aspect?" A sudden jolt of discomfort coursed through my being. The atmosphere around us began to change, thick with an unspoken tension that I was unwilling to confront. "That's not a lesson I can impart," I declared with conviction, sliding my chair away from the table. "In due time, the truth shall reveal itself to you." His expression dimmed just a touch, yet he gave a nod of understanding. "Thank you for lending an ear." I observed him retreat into the distance, my heart racing for reasons I dared not articulate. I attempted to set the conversation aside, yet it clung to me. Re-emerging at the most unforeseen times, I reassured myself that it was merely a harmless inquiry, that he harbored no hidden intentions. Yet a persistent thought began to invade my mind. Why had he chosen me, of all individuals, in the days that followed? I began to observe the delicate shifts in his demeanor. He observed me with a heightened intensity, his gaze lingering just a moment too long, his casual touches, gliding by me in the hallway, lingering his hand on the back of my chair, seemed deliberate. I convinced myself that it was all in my head, that I was overanalyzing innocent gestures. Yet, on that particular evening when I found him gazing at me, his face a mask of mystery, I realized that my instincts were not leading me astray. Once more, under the cloak of night, he revisited the topic. "I've been reflecting on your words." I maintained a steady tone. "Indeed, you were correct about confidence," he confessed. "Yet, I find myself at a crossroads, uncertain of the path ahead. I wish to avoid putting anyone in an awkward position. I seek to uncover the true desires of women." With a heavy sigh, I set my book aside. "This is becoming more complex than it needs to be. Attraction is not a formula you can simply learn. It revolves around the delicate dance of elements and the whispers of instinct." He nodded, yet his gaze remained unwavering. "But what if that instinct eludes me? What if I never find my way?" I paused, sensing the heaviness of his openness. He sought more than mere advice. He sought affirmation, a deeper sense of comfort. In a manner that transcended simple inquisitiveness. You will, I assured him. It's not about recalling steps. It revolves around the emotions you evoke in another person. He let out a breath, his fingers tracing the nape of his neck. And how might one go about achieving that? The inquiry took me by surprise. There was an intriguing quality in the way he inquired, his voice dipped low, his gaze deepening. That sent a ripple of tension through my stomach. I ought not to have indulged in it. The moment between us should not have lingered so long, yet I did. Listen closely, I whispered. One observes the subtle details, the way a person responds, inhale, exhale. The rhythm of life flows through them. Their gaze lingers, a silent plea for something deeper, something more. His lips parted just a bit. And I caught sight of his throat moving as he swallowed. That evokes a sense of closeness. Indeed, I confessed, that is the reason it holds significance. He nodded. His eyes dancing across my features, as though he were unraveling the tale hidden within me. Your words flow with such grace, a gentle, uncertain chuckle escaped my lips. It's merely a journey of understanding. Indeed, he murmured, his voice scarcely rising above a whisper. Alas, I find myself without any. The space seemed to shrink, the atmosphere thickening around me. He lingered just a breath away, or perhaps I was simply too attuned to his presence. I willed myself to turn my gaze, to interrupt the unfolding moment before it could deepen. You'll find your way, I declared, rising to my feet with sudden resolve. That's not something you require my assistance with. He seemed poised to share more. Yet I didn't allow him the opportunity. I turned and left, dismissing the frantic rhythm of my heartbeat echoing in my throat. I convinced myself that I had put an end to it. That night, I found myself in bed, striving to direct my thoughts toward anything but the shadows that lingered in my mind. Yet, my body turned against me. My skin radiated warmth, and my breath danced in an uneven rhythm. The echo of his voice, the way his gaze had met mine, spun around in my mind like a relentless tale I couldn't quiet. As the days unfolded, the tension lingered, refusing to fade away. It transformed into an unvoiced truth, lingering in the air, intricately threaded through each glance, each serendipitous brush of skin. I steered clear of solitude with him. Yet fate had a way of weaving our paths together in the same space. It was not a conscious choice. At the very least, I reassured myself that it wasn't. One evening, after dinner, he stayed in the kitchen watching as I tittied up. I sensed his gaze upon me, his presence enveloping me like a heavy shroud. I ought to have departed, ought to have bid him farewell. Instead, I chose to remain. I know I should let this go, he said at last. Yet, I find myself unable to do so. I let out a quick breath, steeling myself for what was to come. You must. Yet, I find myself reluctant to proceed. His voice flowed with a serene confidence, unwavering and assured. I pivoted to confront him, determined to bring this to a decisive close at last. Yet, he stood nearer than I had anticipated, his face a mask of mystery for the first time. His gaze held a steady resolve, free from any hint of uncertainty. You don't either, he whispered gently. My breath was momentarily suspended. The atmosphere surrounding us crackled, heavy with an unspoken tension that I dared not label. I could have laughed, could have scolded him, could have turned and walked away, yet I took none of those paths. You have no idea what you're talking about, I persevered. I do, he replied. I have a clear vision of my words. His hand rose gently, paused for a moment, then softly grazed against mine. A gentle caress, so light it seemed, yet it broke through every barrier I had built around my heart. I might have taken a step back, I might have brought it to a close. Yet, I remained still, my heart racing as his fingers glided over the back of my hand. Please stop, he murmured softly. I parted my lips, yet silence enveloped me. The moment lingered, pulled tight and quivering, and then, in a fleeting moment, just long enough to unravel it all, I allowed myself to surrender. It was a momentary whisper, a gentle touch, a surge of warmth. Yet, it sufficed, sufficient to send my stomach into a thrilling descent, sufficient to break apart any semblance of control I had held onto. I drew back suddenly, my breath coming in quick, uneven gasps. This cannot be allowed to unfold. He remained silent, offering no resistance, no insistence. He held my gaze, his expression a mystery waiting to be unraveled. I understand, he whispered softly. Yet his voice carried no hint of remorse. I averted my gaze, clutching the counter to find my balance. The atmosphere in the room had shifted, thickening with an undeniable weight. As if it were infused with an irreversible energy, I had ventured into uncharted territory, and I was acutely aware of it. And even more troubling, I found myself uncertain about my desire to return. For days, I kept my distance from him. It was the sole path forward. Perhaps if I feigned ignorance of the event, it might diminish in significance, slipping away into the shadows of the inconsequential. Yet, it did not. Each time I shut my eyes, the specter of that moment lingered in my mind. His touch, his voice, the way my body had revealed my secrets, I occupied my time, cramming each moment with activities that held no real purpose yet. No form of diversion could diminish the heavy aura he cast within the walls of the home. He stood there, a quiet presence, lingering in the shadows of doorways. His gaze fixed on me with a depth of understanding that sent chills down my spine. And then, my husband returned home. His presence was meant to be a balm, a tether to the world around me, pulling me back into the embrace of reality. Instead, it only deepened the weight of my remorse. I observed him navigate the rooms, unaware of the unseen fissure that had taken root in the very bedrock of our home. As our lips met, a spark ignited between us. I offered him a warm smile. I assured him that all was well, and yet, I found myself on the periphery of my own existence, observing a reflection of myself that felt foreign and unfamiliar. I attempted to mask the shifts around me, yet the burden of my actions clung to me. An unshakable layer that felt as familiar as my own skin. And the most troubling aspect, he observed. He is not my husband. My young companion. One night, long after my husband had retired for the evening, he found me alone in the hallway. I began to walk away, but his voice halted me in my tracks. Shall we simply weave a tale where it never occurred? I shut my eyes for just a moment, summoning the courage to weave my tale of deception. It simply did not. It was a misstep. So, what is it that makes you steer clear of me? I drew in a sharp breath, maintaining a steady tone. For the sake of avoiding further complications, he approached with intention, each step deliberate and calculated. You won't look back with remorse. I took a deep breath, my head shaking in disbelief. Regardless of my feelings, they hold no significance. It resonates with me. His voice was soft, yet it carried an unwavering strength within it. I gazed upon him then, truly gazed upon him. And for the first time, I beheld the truth that neither of us dared to acknowledge. It was not a misstep. Not in the manner I wished to envision. A decision had been made. A fleeting instance when I was aware of the right path yet chose to wander off course. We cannot embark on this journey, I murmured softly. I know, he said. Yet his voice carried no hint of remorse, none at all. Only comprehension. A moment lingered between us, thick with the weight of unexpressed thoughts. Filled with all that could never come to pass, I turned and walked away, my hands quivering at my sides. I convinced myself it was finished, that I had closed that chapter, that I could return to the life I once knew. Yet, beneath the surface, I was aware of the reality some lines once crossed are forever etched in the fabric of our journey.